My name is Hazel Millichamp and this is the Light on Leeds podcast. For this week's episode, I have Elvi Piper from Wrongsemble come along to chat to me. Wrongsemble are a theatre company based in Leeds who specialise in creating work for schools, families and young people. Elvi speaks to me about the company and their latest show, The Not So Ugly Sisters. On this episode of Light on Leeds, I have Elvi Piper from Wrongsemble come to speak to me. Hello, Elvi.
Hello.
Thank you very much for joining me online. Can you tell me a little bit about what is Wrongsemble?
So we are a child-friendly family theatre company based here in Leeds, and we've been going for about 7 years now. And we create work that is about shared experience. So it's about work that young people enjoy with their whole family, whatever your family might look like. And we do that by creating original productions that happen in and around our city, and also touring that all over the country. And also through like participatory experiences in schools and libraries, but also digital work now, which I know lots of us moved into during the pandemic, and has actually been a really exciting way of us extending that reach too.
Yeah, and I imagine sort of you had to start looking at the sort of digital access side of things because of the situation that we were in, everybody being at home and not being able to get out to places. But then you've decided to sort of keep hold of that because it's still useful to people?
Yeah, absolutely. There's so many areas. We became much better at it the more we did, and we don't want to lose those skills. And B, for us, it was about thinking about young people in that digital experience, which how do we give them that live interactive adventure that they get from coming to a live show, but when they're sat at home and, when they couldn't come to live experiences. So we sort of developed a bit of a hybrid model where you would have physical artifacts at home with digital content you could actually interact with. So trying to find that way of reaching people and then really feeling like they can connect to the work, and with youngest members of audiences like at the heart of that. But yeah, we can just reach people all over the planet with it. That's the amazing thing. Like, it's not geographically like restricted. And in terms of accessibility, which is such a huge focus for us, is we can make work that people can watch anytime they want. They can watch it as many times as they want to, which we know young audiences often love to repeat engage.
Yeah.
But also, it can have captions. They can slow things down if they miss something. They can watch it again. In terms of that accessibility, it's actually been a really brilliant thing that we don't want to lose.
Yeah, I can totally imagine that. And so most of the performances that you put on are therefore they're family friendly, like you said, for everybody to watch. So that must be really interesting. Do you create new performances, or are you adapting old stories?
Yeah, well, a bit of both, really. We absolutely create original work. So all the things that we make are created by the minds of the company and the artists we work with. But we find a really great way of reaching audiences is to take source material or stories that they do have a connection with already, but find a really exciting new way of helping them engage with that. So The Not So Ugly Sisters, which is our upcoming tour, is a totally reimagined version of Cinderella told from the perspective of the Not So Ugly Sisters.
That sounds absolutely brilliant, because obviously in the old retellings of that story, the Ugly Sisters really have a bad rep, don't they?
Yeah, and there's this awful thing that we have in a lot of stories still, actually, of like picking a baddie, picking a villain. And a lot of the times in old fairy tales and that, those villains are female identifying, and we're trying to debunk those ideas that people are either good or bad, and that actually people are complex, and children understand that. Actually, they understand it really well, and and then for adults, they get a new take on a tale that they've probably heard a million times, but offers them something. So this production was originally written back in 2019, 2020, and that was at the kind of height of the Meghan Markle media mania of her being like, the most loved princess at that wedding, on the front page of every newspaper, to then literally being turned into like media villain within about 3 months. So I was actually a really big inspiration for this story. And Well, the media haven't really changed the way they operate, and they just
No.
pick different people to hate. And women are often judged about how they look before anything else, particularly in the media. So all of those themes are there in this show for the adults, and for our youngest audience members, it's about kindness. And we don't judge books by covers at the very simplest level.
That just sounds like such a great message to be giving out with the story.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's our job as theatre makers, particularly with the responsibility of telling stories to young people and their families. It's really important that the messages that we're sharing are just valuable messages about humanity and being good people on the planet. It's not about preaching or driving an agenda. But I would argue that what we do is political. We are talking about kindness and understanding, and how we operate in the world as good human beings to the best of our abilities. And so to do that, we talk about equality, we talk about access in our stories, we talk about fairness and gender fairness and sexuality and all those things that affect everyone's lives from the minute we enter the world.
Yeah, and the great thing is, of course, that when those children who've been to see your performance of the Not So Ugly Sisters come across another telling of Cinderella, they will already have the ideas that you've put forward in their mind about, that the Ugly Sisters may be not as bad as they're portrayed in this other version.
Yeah, I love that idea. That really makes me excited. The thought that they would have that as a comparison, and then they can draw their own conclusions on what they think is right.
Yeah, exactly. What a great thing. And so you do lots of work in schools and with communities as well?
Yeah, so a big part of what we do, obviously, we are a Leeds-based company, so we are passionate about the audiences of our city having the opportunity to experience this work in the different spaces that they might engage with it. So for some young people and families, that's through school. For some, it's about getting that work out to community venues and libraries all over the city. And sometimes that's about, putting a show on in a big theatre like Leeds Playhouse, like we did last year with this production. But, it's a big city and there's a lot of families. So we know that we can take it out into lots of communities and reach lots of different people, even just within Leeds.
Yeah, it's such a great thing because I think, if you've not grown up in a family where it's been part of your sort of history to go to the theatre, it can seem quite daunting. So I think sometimes having a theatre production in a venue that you have been to for other reasons, that you feel very comfortable with, is a great way to reach people.
Yeah, it's brilliant. And it's really exciting for us as artists to make this work in other spaces, because it also helps us reach new audiences who we wouldn't get at a theatre venue. And fundamentally, some of our youngest audience members have never been to the theatre before, partly because of their age, partly it might not have been part of their family's cultural background, but also it's been a global pandemic and they've been at home. So
Yeah.
this is their first experience of this work. And how do we make it as fun and as accessible and as easy for them to engage with as possible? And we've got to remove those barriers, things like if it costs a lot, we're competing with every other fun activity to do in the city. So we've got to make sure that it's affordable, and then maybe people will be happy to spend a bit more once they know it's for them. But
Yeah.
they might decide it's not for them, and I don't want them to wish they had had a refund at the end of it. But also, is it happening in spaces people can get to without having to get on a bus or park the car? And is it a place, like you said, that they have their local birthday parties and they go down there on a Sunday and watch the football? So actually, we're in their spaces, and I'm very grateful that they're willing to let us bring our work there. It's incredibly brilliant, and it just means we get to meet the most wonderful audiences all over the city.
Yeah, that's great. And have you always been involved in the theatre, Elvi? How did you get involved? How did you get started?
Well, my mum was a secondary drama teacher, so I was going to, yeah, I was either going to lean into it or I was going to reject it. But I used to tag along to all her school trips to see shows, which was great. I was very lucky. So I feel very privileged that I've always had it there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so then I kind of always thought I wanted to be an actor, but mostly because I didn't realise there were loads of other jobs you could do in theatre. I thought it was be a performer or nothing. So I sort of went off thinking I was going to be an actor, and then actually realised I was really good at bossing people around. So I was probably better suited to being a director. And then over the years, that's turned into writing as well. And that's why we created the company in lots of ways, because there were so many different things we wanted to explore. And I was actually working at Leeds Playhouse when we started Wrongsemble. And I used to run the education department for primary age young people.
Yeah.
And I would get the supreme pleasure of going to see loads of children's theatre, with the view to bringing it to the Playhouse or recommending it to be on. And I just started to realise that I loved some stuff, and some stuff I was watching, I just didn't, as an adult, I didn't feel like I should be there, or like it definitely wasn't for me. And that's fine.
Yeah.
But I was like, it would be nice if there was this work that I felt was just as much for me as it is for the 5-year-old I'm sat down the road from. And that was where the idea for it came from, really, was that, like a great panto, everyone goes together from your family. You all have a great time, but you might all be laughing at different jokes, or you might all leave with a different memory, but you'll talk about it on the way home. And then you've got that experience shared again and again. So yeah, that's how we sort of ended up here doing what we do now.
Yeah, that's brilliant, isn't it? Because it's the same as when my son was young and I used to read to him. The best books are the ones that you can, and it's the same with TV programs and films and all sorts of things. The best ones are the ones where, like you say, you're both engaging in it and you're both really enjoying it, but you perhaps come out of it with different things, or you're reading different things into it, but there's something there for adults and something there for children, and neither side are kind of excluded.
Yeah, 100%. I completely agree. And some of the best, like, children's books or young adults books, like, I still really enjoy, because I know I'm reading them with different life experience, and I'm finding nuances in there that are meant for your older readers. And I really hope that's the same in a Wrongsemble show when people come to see it. Someone said to me the other day, which I was just took as the biggest compliment, was that it was like a Pixar film. Like,
Oh,
yes,
wow.
we know it's aimed at young audiences because it's bright and it's beautifully animated, and yeah, we understand that. But actually, there's so much in there that is about adult experience and adult life, and means that then young people and older people all enjoy those films together. So, gosh, if we can come anywhere near that, I'm thrilled.
Yeah, that's a great accolade, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I need someone to write that down so I can use it as a quote on things.
So somebody who's listening could write that down and email it, and then you can use that.
That would be much appreciated. Thank you. Answers on the back of a postcard.
Well, you're obviously doing great things, because in 2020 you won the Child Friendly Leeds Award for inspiring creativity through arts and culture. That must have been great to get that.
Oh, it was absolutely amazing. And it was all right before, we went into lockdown and things. And I don't think at that moment any of us knew what was coming. But it was incredibly unexpected, I have to say that. Like, we'd had the great pleasure of working with Child Friendly Leeds on supporting their work through what we were doing. But we didn't imagine winning that award. And we had the best evening at the amazing City Varieties Theatre. And
I bet that was great.
Oh, it was great. And the theme was space. So we'd gone dressed as glitter-covered aliens. Obviously, being a family theatre company, we have access to a lot of costumes and props. And I have to admit, we did not think we were going to win. And I think I might have had one more glass of wine than I should have done. And so when we got up on the stage, I'm not sure how coherent our speech was, because we were just sort of screeching. But yeah, honestly, it was incredibly humbling, because we love this city, and to know that we are playing our part in inspiring creativity and culture just means everything. It's why we do what we do.
Yeah, how amazing. You probably could have got away with it if you were dressed as aliens. You could have just, that's just the way we speak.
Yeah, I mean, it was such a great atmosphere. And also, as much as, we felt so humbled and very excited to stand on that stage and win an award, and like got the award in pride of place in our office, obviously, always pointing at it. I like to have it behind me in Zoom meetings. But just really, really like amazing to be up there celebrating with all the young people that were being celebrated in our city and the things that they do. And, it is really exciting and hopeful. Like, what some of the incredible young people and other organisations in Leeds are doing. So yeah, it's just lovely to be part of that roster of incredible people.
Yeah, how brilliant. And so where can people see the Not So Ugly Sisters?
Well, we open on the 2nd of April and we're touring for 3 weeks. So throughout the extended Easter holidays. And there's lots of different locations that you can see it. We're touring all over the country, actually. And we're touring to venues and we're touring to community centres and we're touring to theatres. But in Leeds, we've got a number of places that you can come and catch us, which is great. And just outside as well, if you've got transport or you're nearby. So you can catch us as part of the Red Ladder Northern Social Circuit. You can catch us in Grove Hall in Pontefract. You've got us in Bitmo in Belle Isle, Hops in Hawksworth Wood in North Leeds, Space 2 in Gipton. We're also at Gipton Working Men's Club. We're at Guiseley Theatre. Just trying to make sure I've remembered everywhere we are. We're at Hunslet Rugby Club as well. And then just outside, we're in Barnsley, we're in Hexham, we're all over. And if you want to find the dates and prices and book tickets, probably the easiest place to find everything is on our website, which is wrongsemble.com.
Excellent. Well, I'll make sure I put lots of links in the podcast notes so that people can click through and get tickets and join in.
Great.
Fantastic. And so I always ask guests to 3 questions. And have you lived in Leeds all of your life, Elvi?
No, I haven't. So my mum went to uni in Leeds in the 80s, and she always talked about how it was the best place ever. And so I kind of always had this idea that when I was growing up, I was going to move to Leeds. I grew up in Cardiff and in South Wales. So I moved up here when I was, it must have been like 12 years ago now. But this is definitely home. I'm not going anywhere else.
That means that you're definitely qualified then if you've lived here for 12 years. Yeah, that's absolutely fine. What would you say is the greatest thing about the city of Leeds?
Man, I love Leeds. I think because I'm self-proclaimed Leeds resident.
Yeah.
I see all the good in it where probably other people pick holes. But my favourite thing about Leeds these days is just how incredible the food is. Like, you cannot move for incredible food everywhere. Like, every inch of the corner of the city, like, depending on the communities that there are, but also the restaurants and the cafes. So I feel like you could eat out every night of the year in Leeds and never go to the same place twice, and it would always be brilliant.
Yeah.
So that's my one big thing. And the other thing is just like, and, you know, it might sound a bit cliche, but the theatre and arts community in this city are so supportive of each other. You know, we're incredibly lucky to be part of a big city, but also one that can feel very cozy and inclusive in terms of like, everyone knows each other, everyone takes care of each other, and people support each other. And I know from other friends and people in the industry in different cities that isn't the same everywhere else. So I don't take it for granted.
Oh, well, it's great to hear that that's the case. But yeah, it feels like that to me too, that it feels like a big sort of connected network.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if you had to, Elvi, if you were forced to, what would you say is not so great about the city?
Okay, this probably make me unpopular, but I mean, one of the things is, okay, and I think this is just generally a problem with town planning. Why does the ring road, like the motorway basically, go through the middle of the city centre? Like, that really, really annoys me, because I worked at Leeds Playhouse when it was West Yorkshire Playhouse, you know, and there was just basically a motorway outside the front of the building.
Yeah.
I always thought was just the worst way. And subsequently, like, I think this is connected, there's no parks in the centre. There's no green space. Like, there's not enough anyway. And I really love spaces that are starting to pop up now. Like, there is one next to the like refurbished Leeds Playhouse and Leeds City College. They've got a little green space there, and there's like a new bit between like the Radisson and where like the museum is that they kind of pedestrianised. But I just always think, like, I wish there was a lovely big green space to go and eat your lunch when you're in the city centre, or just chill, or just be when the sun's out. And I know we've got Roundhay Park and Horsforth Park and stuff like that, but yeah, I wish there was somewhere in the city centre that was a bit more green.
Yeah, a bit more green spaces. I know that they're building a whole sort of green parkway, aren't they, sort of near the Adelphi and the Tetley, but that's still not quite the city centre. But it'll be lovely to. I think it's going to be finished next year in April. But yeah, that'll be great. But still not. I know what you mean. It's nice to have pockets in the city centre where you can just sit and chill out.
Yeah, that would be my one criticism. But I love the idea that they are trying to put those spaces in. Like, you know, I think we do need them as well. So many more people live in the city centre now. I think,
Yeah,
because I lived in the city centre for a few years when I moved to Leeds, and I remember it's like, when it was a nice night, where would you go and sit? You know, and of an evening and stuff like that. But I think it is getting better.
Yeah, definitely. And I think during the terrible last couple of years that we've had, I think it became heightened how much green spaces were needed and useful to people.
Yeah, particularly if you haven't got a garden or a balcony space or anything like that, where you can just be outside and spend time, you know, that doesn't involve spending money or doesn't involve having to like travel a long distance. Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah. And if somebody was a resident of Leeds for a very long time, would you be able to tell them about something that you consider to be a hidden gem, but that they might never have heard of?
Oh, there's so many.
There are.
But I think a lot that I found in the last few years, now obviously, like we were saying with the pandemic, I appreciate so much more now. One is my absolute favourite restaurant, which is called Herne in
Okay.
Chapel, and when you go there, there's just one set menu, and you have whatever they're cooking that day. So you don't even have to worry about ordering. They make that choice for you, and you can get an extra cheese board if you're feeling like really hungry. And it's so good. And they buy all the produce from like round Chapel and local produce. So yeah, that's like one of those places, and it's tiny. There's only like 5 tables in there, but it's amazing. So that's like my number one thing I'm always telling everyone to go to.
That's a great one.
Yeah, I love it. And the other thing is just I'm up in North Leeds, near Horsforth Station, and the amount of amazing walks and things I found during lockdown when we all needed to, that I could get to from my house, and like walk up Hunger Hills and you've got a view of the whole city, or walk over to Craghouse Farm and there's like a coffee shop where there's a farm shop as well, and you could get a nice latte. And yeah, feel very lucky that Leeds, as well as being like such a busy city, is like always so close to the countryside as well. You're never that far away from being out in the incredible dales, or all around.
Yeah, that's a good one as well. And I always ask guests if they'd like to feature a piece of music from a Leeds-based band or musician, and you have chosen a song from the show The Not So Ugly Sisters. Do you want to tell me a bit about it?
Yeah, so I've chosen U.G.L.Y, which is a bit of an anthem type song. It's a pop anthem, and it's got a repetitiveness to it that I love, which means you can't help but like clap and sing along, which is something we always encourage at shows. And it's just a really special thing about reclaiming the things that people say about us and not letting unkind words define you. It was written with 2 incredible artists, Claire Marie Seddon and Bryan and myself, in a room in Barnsley nearly 3 years ago. And I think I've had it in my brain ever since. So I hope it doesn't ruin anyone's day by the fact that you will not be able to get it out of your brain once you've heard it.
It is a really great song. I think I've already got it in my brain, but I don't mind because it's just brilliant.
Oh, that's a relief.
And what will you be doing with the rest of your day today, Elvi?
Well, the rest of my day it's such a lovely day today. I think I might just actually go and sit in my garden. I think it's nearly warm enough, you know.
I know.
Yeah, and just enjoy like the lovely view from the top of the hill I live on, and maybe treat myself to a lovely cold beverage sat outside.
That sounds lovely. That sounds really good. I hope you have a great time. I'll put lots of links in the podcast notes so that people can find out where you are and come and see your performances.
Oh, that'll be amazing. We can't wait to welcome people back at some live shows.
Thank you so much for coming to talk to me today, and enjoy your weekend.
Thanks, Hazel.
Elvi was a brilliant guest, I'm sure you'll agree. The Not So Ugly Sisters is showing from Saturday the 2nd to Sunday the 24th of April. Elvi chose to feature a song from the show called U.G.L.Y, which is performed by Daisy Ann Fletcher and Lucy Rafton. It's a great song and it's really catchy. I hope that you enjoy it, and I'll speak to you soon, Leeds.
We'll grow stronger than we were before. We'll stop believing what everybody says about us and just know that we're good.
We are good, aren't we?
We're not the baddies in somebody else's story.
We're the heroes in our own.
Life's not all bad.
I guess that's true.
Soon enough we'll be yesterday's news.
Until that day I'm sticking with you.
Sticking like glue.
No invitation,
no flies on us,
no limousines.
Now we'll just take the bus.
No silly hats or frilly stuff. U.G.L.Y. Call me ugly, all you like. U.G.L.Y.
We were born to stand and fight.
U.G.L.Y. Hold us down and we will fight. U.G.L.Y.
From these ashes we will rise.
You cut the hair and you can shampoo.
I'll sweep the floor
And I'll make a brew. That phone will ring and we'll make it through. U.G.L.Y.
Call me ugly, all you like.
U.G.L.Y. We were born to stand and fight. U.G.L.Y.
Hold us down and we will bite.
U.G.L.Y.
From these ashes we will
We're not sitting in the rut. Ugly is as ugly does. U.G.L.Y. Call me ugly, all you like. U.G.L.Y. We were born to stand and fight. U.G.L.Y. Hold us down and we will bite. U.G.L.Y. From these ashes we will rise. U.G.L.Y. 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 U.G.L.Y.
U.G.L.Y.
From these ashes we will rise.
U.G.L.Y.
From these ashes we will rise.
U.G.L.Y.
From these ashes we will rise.